No map showed the road to Okwut village. Yet everyone knew about it. Drivers avoided the path. Hunters never crossed it after sunset. Even elders mentioned its name in whispers, like saying it too loudly would summon something unwanted. They said Okwut did not kill people, kept them. The journey. I was warned 3 times before I reached the village. The first warning came from a bus driver who suddenly stopped the vehicle in the middle of nowhere. "This is where I drop you," he said, refusing to look at me. "But Okwut is still far," I argued. He laughed short, broken, afraid. "There is no far after this road," he replied. "Once you start walking, it decides when you arrive." Then he turned the bus around and drove off, leaving dust and silence behind. The forest that watches. The road was narrow, swallowed by tall trees whose branches twisted together like fingers locking in prayer or warning. As I walked, the forest felt alive. Leaves rustled even when there was no wind. Shadows shifted on their own. Sometimes, I heard footsteps behind me, but whenever I turned, nothing was there. After what felt like hours, the sky darkened suddenly. Night fell too fast. That was when I saw the sign. Population. Enough. I should have run. Okwut stood quietly under the moonlight. Mud houses lined the path. Cooking pots sat outside, untouched. Fires burned with no one tending them. No voices, no laughter, no movement. Yet I felt eyes everywhere. I knocked on the first door. Nothing. Second door. Nothing. By the third, the door opened slowly. An old man stared at me with eyes that had seen too much night. "You came late," he said. "I just arrived," I replied. He shook his head. "No one ever just arrives in Okwut." The old man let me inside his hut. He locked the door and pushed a wooden bench against it. "Listen carefully," he whispered. "When night deepens, Okwut will test you." "Test me how?" I asked. He leaned closer. "It will call you." My heart skipped. "If you hear your name," he continued, "do not answer. Do not look outside. And whatever you hear, do not open the door." A scream echoed outside. Sharp, female, desperate. I stood up instinctively. The old man grabbed my arm with surprising strength. "That is how it begins," he said. "Tonight, the village will decide if you leave, or if you stay forever." Midnight arrived without sound. Then, a gentle knock. "Please," a woman's voice begged. "Help me." I moved toward the door. The old man slapped my hand away. "That voice is not human anymore," he said. The knocking grew louder. Then the voice changed. It became my mother's voice, calling my name. The knock stopped. Not slowly, not gently. It stopped as if the sound itself had been swallowed. Silence returned, but it was worse than the noise. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until your thoughts begin to scream. The old man released my arm. "They are listening now," he murmured. "Who?" I asked, my throat dry. "The ones beneath us. What sleeps below Okwut." The hut floor creaked. Once, twice. Then came a sound I can only describe as breathing deep, slow, and massive, rising from under the earth itself. I froze. The old man knelt and pressed his palm against the ground. "Long before this village existed," he began, "this land was a feeding ground for something older than names. It does not walk the earth. It does not fly the sky. What is it?" I whispered. He looked at me. "It is the night itself." Okwut was once a prosperous village. Crops never failed. Children were born strong. Disease avoided them, but prosperity demands payment. When famine came to nearby villages, Okwut survived untouched. While others buried their dead, Okwut grew. That was when people noticed something disturbing. No one died in Okwut. They simply disappeared. First, it was strangers, travelers, hunters, curious souls. Then it demanded more. It wanted voices, the old man said. Names, memories, identity. So the elders made a pact. Every night, the village would offer one soul, willing or not. In return, the village would live. The grave without graves. The old man led me outside before dawn. The village was awake now but not alive. People moved slowly, eyes hollow, mouths murmuring prayers they no longer believed in. Children played with no laughter. We reached a wide clearing. "This is where they bury the village," he said. I laughed nervously. "I don't see any graves." He smiled sadly. "They are not buried above ground." The earth trembled. A low moan rose from beneath the soil, and suddenly, faces pressed up from the ground, human faces, frozen in terror, mouths open in silent screams, eyes rolling beneath transparent earth like trapped spirits in glass. I staggered backward and vomited. "They are awake," the old man said. "They hear everything." The chosen one. A drumbeat sounded. Boom, boom, boom. The villagers gathered. At the center stood a masked figure, the caller dressed in black raffia, bone necklaces clinking with every movement. "The night chooses," the old man whispered. "But sometimes it cheats." The caller raised a staff and pointed. "At me." The villagers gasped. "No," the old man muttered. "You are not supposed to be here." The caller spoke in a voice that did not belong to a human throat. My knees buckled. Running from the dark. The old man shoved me. "Run!" he shouted. I ran. The village twisted as I fled, paths bending, houses stretching, shadows detaching themselves and chasing me on all fours. The ground whispered my name. Hands burst from the soil, grabbing my ankles, pulling me down toward the breathing earth. I screamed. The forest appeared suddenly. I crossed the boundary, and everything stopped. The drums, the whispers, the shadows. I collapsed, gasping, convinced I had escaped. The lie of morning. Morning came. Birds sang. Sunlight warmed my skin. Relief flooded me. Then I noticed something wrong. My reflection in a pool of water blinked out of sync with me. It smiled when I didn't. Behind me, the forest was silent again. And from deep beneath the earth, something laughed. I did not look back. I kept walking until my legs trembled and my lungs burned. The forest thinned, and by late morning I reached a dirt road where motorcycles passed and people spoke loudly, too loudly, as if sound itself was proof of safety. I told myself I was free. I was wrong. It began with my shadow. At noon, when the sun was high, I noticed it did not fall where it should. It leaned slightly to the left, stretching longer than my body allowed. When I stopped, it took a second longer to stop. When I raised my hand, it followed slowly. That night, in the mirror of a roadside lodge, my shadow blinked. Shadows are not supposed to blink. Sleep brought no rest. I dreamed of soil filling my mouth, of roots growing through my ribs, of voices calling my name from under my bed, under the floor, under the world. In the dream, I stood in Oakwood again. Only this time, the village bowed to me. The caller knelt, and when he removed his mask, I saw my face. On the third day, I met a blind man sitting by the roadside, tapping the ground with a stick carved in strange symbols. "You crossed the breathing earth," he said before I spoke. I froze. "You escaped Oakwood," he continued, "but you did not leave empty." "What did it take from me?" I asked. He shook his head. "It did not take anything," he said. "It gave you something." He asked me to stand in the sun. "Look down," he said. I did. My shadow had grown thicker, darker. Its edges crawled like smoke. "The night marked you," the blind man said. "You were chosen, but not finished." "Chosen for what?" He tapped the earth. "To replace the caller." The caller was never one person. It was a role, a vessel. When the night grows weak, it selects someone who can hear it, someone whose soul echoes loudly enough to feed it. "The caller does not die," the blind man explained. "They are consumed slowly, memory by memory, name by name." I remembered the faces under the ground. Their mouths moved now in my mind. They were chanting. My name. The first change. It happened that night. Someone knocked on my door. Softly. "Help me," a woman's voice whispered. My blood ran cold. I did not open the door, but my shadow moved. It slid across the floor like oil, climbed the door, and opened it from the inside. No one stood there, only darkness. and a feeling of hunger that did not belong to me. From that night on, I could hear things others could not. Footsteps under concrete, whispers in tree roots, names drifting in the dark like smoke. I knew when someone was about to die. Their shadows screamed first. I stopped sleeping, because every time I did, I stood in Okut, not as a visitor, but as its heart. The blind man returned one evening. "You have two paths," he said. "You can resist and be dragged back screaming, or you can return willingly." "To Okut." He nodded. "If you return, the village will sleep. The feeding will stop for a while. And if I don't?" He turned his blind eyes toward my shadow. "Then Okut will come to you." That night, the road appeared. The same road that had once abandoned me now waited patiently. My shadow stood tall beside me, no longer copying, but leading. As I stepped forward, I heard drums in the distance. Boom, boom, boom. The village was calling its new voice. The road to Okut no longer resisted me. Where once it twisted and stretched, now it lay straight and obedient, as if recognizing its master. The forest bent away, branches arching overhead like ribs welcoming a heart back into a chest. My shadow walked beside me now, not behind, not beneath, beside. Okut greeted me with drums. Low, slow, hungry. Villagers emerged from their huts one by one, kneeling as I passed. None looked up. Their shadows did not follow them. They had none. I raised my hand. "Stop!" They froze. I turned to the trembling man and asked, "What is your name?" He stared at me, confused. No caller had ever asked that. My name is Akunala," he said. I repeated it. The earth hissed. I told the villagers his story, where he was born, who his parents were, how he laughed as a child. I made them remember him. The ground cracked violently. "No!" the night roared. "Remembrance poisons me." Faces tore themselves free from the walls below, screaming, crying, remembering. Names rose like smoke. The village shook. Houses collapsed. The drums split apart. My shadow screamed not in hunger, but in fear. I turned to it. "You were never me," I said. "You were what I forgot." I stepped into the Leia, into the mouth beneath Okut, carrying every name I could remember. Every face, every story, the last sacrifice. The night wrapped around me, crushing, cold, ancient. "You will be empty," it promised. "I will be full," I replied. "Full of memory, full of names, full of life." I spoke my name one final time and then spoke the names of the dead. Thousands of them. The night shrieked and collapsed inward. After the silence, Okut fell, not into darkness, but into earth. By morning, the village was gone. In its place, a quiet clearing, birds singing, sunlight warm and ordinary. The villagers were found miles away, confused, alive. Shadows returned to their feet like long-lost friends. No one remembered Okut. No one remembered the night. Except, sometimes, when night is very quiet, someone will wake up and feel their shadow squeeze their foot gently, lovingly, as if reminding them, "You are still remembered." And somewhere, in the space between soil and sleep, a voice whispers, "Say their names," because as long as stories are told, the night cannot eat us again.